Hello and welcome to Rockstar Manager. I'm Dr. K, the management professor, and this episode is about personality, lifestyles, and self-concept as they drive consumer behavior. First, please subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button down below and also hit the notifications button so you'll see each time I post a new video. Now let's get started. This episode is about personality, lifestyles, and self-concept. And these concepts are individual difference variables, which are descriptions of how individual consumers differ according to specific traits or patterns of behavior. When we talk about personality, we recognize that it exhibits a number of qualities. First, it's unique to the person. It's often conceptualized as a combination of specific characteristics and traits. In general, these traits remain consistent across situations. This means that you have certain expectations of someone. If he or she went outside that norm, you would say that his or her behavior was out of character. With that said, specific behaviors can vary over time. The psychoanalytic approach to personality, advocated by Sigmund Freud, suggests personality results from a struggle between inner motives and societal pressures to follow rules and expectations. Freud goes on to explain the three components that make a personality: the id, the superego, and the ego. The ego attempts to balance the id and the superego. The id is hedonistic and focuses on seeking pleasure and gratification, whereas the superego motivates one's actions to mirror societal norms and expectations. Another approach to understanding personality is to consider single and multi-trait methods. The single trait method dives deep into one specific trait, while the multiple trait approach examines a variety of traits as a collection. Moreover, the nomothetic perspective centers around specific traits that a number of consumers demonstrate. An idiographic perspective focuses on the individual, complete person, and his or her own uniqueness, with the focus on those individual complexities. Value consciousness is the balance between what's given up in return for the product or service. To hold value, the consumer wants to feel that they got more in return for what he or she gave up in the transaction. Another concept we need to consider in the consumer behavior world is materialism. This is the degree of importance material items are in the consumer's life. According to Babin+Harris, the three dimensions to materialism are possessiveness, non-generosity, and envy. Possessiveness is about how much you want to control your possessions. Highly materialistic consumers usually fall into this category and often envy others because of their possessions. Non-generosity is one's reluctance to share what they have, and envy is a little deeper in that it's bitterness towards someone else because of what they own and desire similar material items. With that said, not every purchase is driven by emotion. The need for cognition refers to the degree to which consumers tend to engage in effortful cognitive information processing. Consumers who rank high in this category take into account many considerations prior to purchase. Interestingly, research shows that ads with humor don't do well with people who rank high in this category. Competition is another trait examined in consumer research. Quite simply, this desire to be or do better than others drives behavior. The next trait is productivity orientation. As a Lean Six Sigma black belt, I fall into this category. The drive with this trait is output. The focus is being productive and accomplishing more in less time. Other traits to consider are the Big 5 personality traits, and I'll put my link for that video in the description below. Before we leave traits in consumer research, marketers should consider brand traits and components of their brand personality. First, you need to have an appeal. It should have a strong degree of favorability, originality, and clarity. There are various types of lifestyles. There are healthy lifestyles, unhealthy lifestyles, alternative lifestyles, luxury lifestyles, intense lifestyles, and so on. At the end of the day, your lifestyle is the way you want to live and spend your money on a daily basis. Now, psychographics are the metrics or the measurements of a consumer's lifestyle. For example, wine drinkers include conservatives, experimenters, and are image-oriented. Porsche owners include Top Guns, elitists, etc. Demographics include age, gender, the city where you live, or maybe where you were born, income level, education level, your generation, ethnicity, or even your race. Now let's talk about self-concept in consumer behavior. Self-concept refers to the totality of thoughts and feelings that an individual has about themselves. Self-concept can also be thought of as a way a person defines or gives meaning to one's own identity, as in the type of self-schema. As it relates to consumer behavior, it has several practical implications. For instance, certain brands, products, and ideals reinforce self-concept. In fact, the self-congruency theory proposes that behavior can be explained by the congruence or match between a consumer's self-concept and the image of typical users of a given product. Hopefully you have a better understanding of personality, lifestyles, and the self-concept under the consumer behavior umbrella. If you're interested in learning more about related managerial topics, you can find my books, Rockstar Manager from Theory to Practice, Build a Rockstar Business from Ideation to Inception in 120 Minutes, if you want to start a new business, all online, or read Cengage's Consumer Behavior 9th edition. Thanks for your time. Be your best you and be a rockstar manager.